It's all over, guys. It's over. As Nick Foles signs a 4-year deal with the Jaguars a couple hours ago, just a few minutes ago, the news broke that the Jaguars have officially released quarterback Blake Bortles. So, it's the end of an era. Or as a lot of people might say, it's the end of an era or. The Jaguars have been married to Blake Bortles since April of 2014. So now we're checking in with you on March 13th, 2019. So that's about 4 years and 11 months. And it's been a wild ride. Blake Bortles, number 3 overall pick in 2014 from UCF. It just didn't work out. And, I was one of those guys that did support Bortles. Like, I really did think that Bortles could turn into a good quarterback. Now, on this channel, I try to be as unbiased as I can with you guys, just give you guys, takes that, I take the fan out of it and I kind of give it to you. And, I always try to do that. And I don't know with my view of Blake Bortles if any of that was biased, just because, I was in college at UCF when this guy got drafted. I've even been to his house before back when he lived in Orlando. And then, he played at Oviedo High School right across the street from me. Got drafted to the Jaguars. It was just so cool with him being on the team. But unfortunately, it clearly didn't work out. And at least with Blake Bortles this year, I wish he would have played one of two ways. One way is if he would have just been incredible, playing at MVP, Patrick Mahomes type of levels. But another way I'd like them to play is just really bad like he did this year. Because at least now we know, okay, we need to move on from him. He's not like middling in the road like a guy like Andy Dalton or Joe Flacco is. He just was just flat out bad. And, we decided to move on from him. And with Blake Bortles, really, with him, he's a really good guy, of course. I mean, this guy just emulated Jacksonville. I mean, he was a Florida boy. I just felt like he fit in so well with the, Jacksonville culture and everything. Just always at the beach and stuff like that. But the thing about him was just, he's not a natural thrower of the football. He just was terribly inaccurate. He couldn't read defenses. They would just call simple crossing routes. He didn't ever call any like audibles at the line of scrimmage. He wasn't like confident in that way to really do that. The boxes were always loaded with Blake Bortles. He had just terrible mechanics. From the footwork to the throwing motion. I mean, every spring this guy had to go out to California to remember how to throw a football. And it just wasn't, he wasn't very good. And really, I mean, I've said this in the video before, it really doesn't matter how I felt about Blake Bortles. What matters is what the front office thought of Blake Bortles. And while every single national guy and like everybody was just talking about how Jaguars need to move on from Blake Bortles, the 1% was the Jaguars front office, and they decided to keep him. They decided to extend him to like a 3-year extension, and I think now with this we have like a $16.5 million dead cap hit or something ridiculous like that. So it wasn't a good extension. I mean, there was kind of fool's gold because at the end of 2017 he was playing pretty well, and he wound up, playing pretty well at the end of the year, against teams like Seattle and like Houston and stuff like that. And into the playoffs, while he wasn't very good against the Bills when it comes to the passing game, he was able to use his feet and actually, I think he picked up about 90 yards rushing or something like that. The next game against the Steelers, he was actually really good. I mean, we don't win that game without the play of Blake Bortles. I mean, he actually did have to elevate his play a little bit. And then against the Patriots, if our defense could have held a lead, could have held a 10-point lead with 6-7 minutes left, or if they could have called some better plays instead of just keep running it up the middle 3 times and punting, the coaching staff didn't play scared. Blake Bortles is probably on his way to winning, the MVP of the offensive MVP of the AFC Championship game, and then he would have gone on to play Big Dick Nick, our quarterback now, in the Super Bowl. But those are all old times. But really with the Jaguars, here was kind of their mindset with the whole Blake Bortles ordeal. In 2014, he was a rookie. he had an alright rookie year. I mean, he wasn't great, he wasn't bad, he just had a typical rookie year. Showed some good things. Also, showed some things that you can work on. It was his rookie year. 2015, they exploded out to crazy numbers. He had like 35 touchdown passes. Al Robinson and Allen Hurns were both 1,000-yard receivers, but our team was held back by a not very good defense and no running game. It really seemed like the best part of the Jaguars' offense was the passing game. I mean, that was the best part of the Jaguars' team, which is crazy to think now. In 2016, in 2016, Blake Bortles was just like bad. He was horrible. A lot of that was because he didn't go to California and work with his mechanic coaches. Greg Olsen advised him to stay in Jacksonville and work with his receivers, and just his mechanics were like just the worst, some of the worst out there. And the Jaguars, and that's when we brought in Tom Coughlin, and then I think Dave Caldwell kind of sold him on the idea that, okay, let's keep Blake, let's get him a running back like Leonard Fournette, and we can make this team work. And, that draft was a lot of regret because we passed up on Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. We could have stuck at number 4 and got one of them instead of Leonard Fournette, who's, I'm not even going to talk about him. We all know what's going on with Leonard Fournette. Hopefully he can put his head together. But then in 2017, he had a good year. I mean, I shouldn't say great year. At the end of the year, he was good. He elevated his play at the back half of the year. Then he brought us into the playoffs a decent amount. So he was good. And then 2018, all the way back down. I mean, it was bad. I mean, if everything around Blake Bortles is good, good run game, great defense, then I think he can be decent. But the thing about the Jaguars is we were running with a second-string offense out there this year. We were on like 4 left tackles. Our high-priced left guard was on the IR. Our center was on the IR. Those are the 3 best pieces of our offensive line. Not to mention, ASJ, our big tight end signing, lasted like 2 games. The tight end depth was like nothing. We had to bring back in Ben Koyak. Our wide receivers, Marquise Lee got hurt like in the preseason. DJ Chark, our second-round receiver, was out over half of the year. Really, only D.D. Westbrook was showing signs of anything. Keelan Cole couldn't catch a flu. All he could do, he could pass block. He could actually run block pretty well. I'll give Keelan Cole that, but there was really nothing there. Then the running back room was just chaotic. So that left nothing for the quarterbacks, whether it be Blake Bortles or Cody Kessler in there. But, now we have to kind of surround Nick Foles with better talent. But, yeah, Blake Bortles, in 2017, he was given a good situation, a great situation. And led us as far as he could. The AFC Championship game, he could have made a better throw at the end. You could point at little things in every single game that you lose that you could point out. But, I thought he played good enough to win. And, now we're moving on. Blake Bortles, now it'll be interesting to kind of see where he goes. He could go to the Packers because Nate Hackett isn't the offensive coordinator over there. He could go to the Buccaneers. Bruce Arians was actually interested in Blake Bortles when he was at Arizona during that whole draft process. But I believe they were drafting in like the 20s. So, obviously they weren't able to pull the trigger there. Could go to the Patriots. Bill Belichick was a guy that actually liked Blake Bortles coming out of the draft. He actually would have drafted him over Garoppolo given a chance. But we'll see. Maybe even the Dolphins, they don't have much going on at quarterback, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what goes on. We'll see. I'm really interested to see kind of what team he signs with. But it's end of the era, man. I always cheer for Blake Bortles wherever he goes, man. He's a good guy. I got a Twitter poll going. Definitely hit it up. Let me see what the voting's at. Okay, we are at 81 votes. 88% of people say that they still like Blake Bortles. They'll still cheer for him, whatever. But it sucks how he didn't work out. 2014 draft, there really wasn't much for quarterbacks. In the first round, Blake Bortles went first, then Manziel, then Teddy Bridgewater. Then in the second round, you had like Derek Carr and Jimmy Garoppolo. Those guys in the second round, they're decent, but I don't think they've showed that they're all-world yet. But the big thing that hurts us is that 2017 draft where we could have gotten Mahomes or Watson. But I'm kind of rambling a little bit, man. End of an era. Blake Bortles, adios, man. It's been real. And yeah, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. See you guys next time.